All right, Sergio, man, what's going on, champ? How we doing on Tuesday here?
Oh man, just got done with all my sessions, just knocking out some interviews and hitting some recoveries. Got out of the ice bath, so still a little cold.
Yeah, right on. I was gonna say I just saw that, and you did it the other yesterday too, right? So is this a new thing, getting in the ice bath?
Yeah. And I got my nutritionist out here, Ian Larios. He's kind of helping me try some new things, get mentally tough, you know. And even though I'm from the cold, man, I still am not used to that. I am not used to it yet.
Yeah, I can imagine. Seems like everybody. I haven't done it myself, but seems like nobody enjoys it.
It's fun. It's really not fun, but the way you feel out of it, you're like, okay, I get why people enjoy it.
All right, so you kind of already notice like the importance and benefits of it. It's pretty instant.
Oh, for sure. You feel, I mean, obviously I'm training all day. I'm overheated and beat up. So I get in the bath, I'm back to freezing and my body feels refreshed after. So definitely seen the benefits.
All right, that's cool, man. And I'm curious, obviously coming back here after the lengthy injury and process there, which never fun, I'm sure, with the rehab and all. But just to integrate, I guess, the ice bath idea, was that something that was ever brought up during that, or just kind of how was the whole process, I guess, and the things you had to do and ideas maybe you had aside from what was told to you? Just sure, it was a lot to deal with in general.
Oh, for sure, man. I tore my ACL, missed on a big last year. I haven't competed since 2021. So definitely, humbling here. I got to see a lot of people get successful and have some great times out there in the cage, which I miss doing. But yeah, man. After all that, even though it was a up and down year, I look back and I'm glad that I went through that. I feel it made me a tougher man. It made me a smarter man as well.
What would you say was kind of the toughest part about going through that, like the fact that you're like limited to things, or how long that it took? Like, was there something that stood out to you that was like, man, this sucks?
Not being able to move, man. I'm a mover. I like to go out, and if I'm not training, I like to go on hikes or go fishing or go do stuff. So, yeah, for about 2 or 3 months during summertime too, I was just sitting at home chilling, man. Not doing much. Definitely losing my mind. I'm so used to training every day or working towards a goal. So I had a whole year of really not being able to train and not really working towards a goal. But I found new goals and I found new ways to enjoy my life. Started coaching teammates, started like holding pads for teammates as well. So keeping me involved in the sport, but also just giving back to people that I really believe had the skill set to go far.
Of course, man. Yeah, I love to hear that. And what was the first thing you did once you were like a little bit mobile again?
First thing I did, I actually went to Bali. I got to go and visit my
Okay.
friend out in, yeah, my nutritionist who's actually here right now. He's been trying to get me to go out there for years, and I just been so busy and so training all the time that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make my way out there, eventually. And I got a chance to make my way out there, and yeah, it was beautiful, man. I got to go out there and go on some killer hikes, go and even train a little bit out there. I was hitting some pads and trying to move around a bit.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I've heard nothing but good things about Bali, so I have to get there myself one day. But once you finally were able to get back to like training camp and starting to, fully do everything again, man, I'm always very curious to hear fighters, especially who go through ACL, injuries and tears and all that recovery stuff. Like the mentality of once you get back into the swing of things, and if it's like there's any mental roadblocks or difficulties of being like I'm worried about the knee, like was that something that you had to worry about, or were you just ready to go right as soon as you could?
Oh no, man, it was like that. There's some days I had great days, and some days I had to lay back because my knee was giving me some issues. So um, definitely in the first couple months of training, I got back around like December, January. I started moving again, and the first 2 or 3 months, I had to, like I said, be smart, make sure that I'm doing the right things, the recovery outside of training, going to my rehab sessions, and it's one thing I slacked at early on in my career. I'm like I was young, so I was
Yeah.
like I could just push through it all, and now that I'm reaching 30 this year, I'm like, yeah, I see a difference, man. I gotta play this game a little bit smarter. Work smart, but also work hard as well. So it's that combination of both.
Yeah, for sure, man. And especially when you have such a big return fight. I can imagine this wasn't something you expected to be welcoming you back as Pitbull, the featherweight champion, but pretty cool spot to be in. I mean, you've reached and earned and deserved these opportunities, especially as a champion now, obviously. But man, big fight. I mean, you're getting the Bellator GOAT, one of the featherweight GOATs in your division, so kind of holding down the fort. Just as a matchup with this guy Pitbull, who I'm sure you've seen plenty of times because he's fought so many times, especially in Bellator. Like, What do you kind of expect out of him? Do you think he'll be the same dropping down? I mean, it's such a fluctuation. He's gone up, he's gone, all over the place now. So what can you even do you think we'll see something drastically different from him, or like what exactly kind of Pitbull are you thinking we'll get here?
But I think it is interesting to drop the extra 10 pounds. I fought at 125. So the way I feel at 135 compared to 125 was night and day. I felt a lot more fragile at 25. And I know as you get older, man, it only gets harder and harder. He's making his way up. So as he's making his way up, he's making his way down with the weight. So definitely going to be interesting for him to see, for me to see how he performs and how he feels. But Patricio's a pit bull. I mean, Patricio's a pit bull.
Yes.
Patricio Pitbull, but he's a professional, man. He'll go out there and do what he has to do to make this weight. I'm sure he put a lot of time and money into this camp to make this weight. And I mean, I've been stalking him a bit. He looks good. His face looks like he's losing some weight. I think he'll make the weight, to be honest.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out, man. I mean, just for you, like, again, to get this opportunity, it feels weird to say that because you're defending and the champ in this situation, but everyone's always looking at him because of what he's done and the name, of course. So like, for you, I'm sure it's nothing new to be in this kind of spot. And I don't want to say get overlooked, but still an underdog role because of who this guy is and, again, holding down the fort. So, like, just what does kind of this spot and opportunity mean to you, especially with all the other factors around it, coming back and just the magnitude of this fight for you with all these things surrounding it?
Oh, for sure. Big opportunity, man. And like you said, I am overlooked. A lot of people do overlook me. I've been the underdog for most of my career. So something I've kind of got used to. Especially coming into this fight, I'm coming off an injury, so I'm sure I'm going to be the underdog, and it could play for either a really shitty story on my end, or it could play for an amazing comeback fight, and that's what I'm pushing for, man. I believe I have the skill set to go out there and compete against Pitbull and come out successful. So definitely a big opportunity. I'm nervous as I speak about it, man. I've been nervous ever since this fight's been announced. I ain't gonna lie, I'm afraid. I'm scared. Like, this is a big fight for me, and a big comeback fight, throwing me right into the deep end with the Sharks. And I'm excited to show these guys I'm a Shark as well. I can swim, and I hope he's overlooking me because I want to look over him when I'm done with this fight.
Oh, beautifully put, man. Very poetic with the words there. So, would you say it's fair to say you kind of have a chip on your shoulder a little bit because of, the injury, the layoff? I mean, the Horiguchi fight, the comeback nature and stellar knockout of the year style of it, then plus who you're fighting. Like, again, all these things line up to, I imagine it's got to be pretty good motivation along with these nerves and all this stuff. But building that chip, would you say?
For sure. Chip is on my shoulder because, last year, like I said, I didn't compete last year. 2021, I had a great knockout, one of the best of my careers. And I'm trying to keep that going, man. I've had a lot of fights go to the decisions. A lot of people, kind of not sure about me. And I'm sure about myself now. So I'm excited to go out there and get this big opportunity. But like I said, man, it's gonna be a test for sure. I'm excited to get tested. Life is as a test. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's a very crazy spot to be in right now. And I was talking to Juan Archuleta about this a couple of weeks ago too. But like the bantamweight division, man, right now, just worldwide, crazy. Like it's just insanely stacked, best in the world, I think, pretty easily. And you could even argue like promotion by promotion that it's still the best that way. That's how deep things are. And I bring this up because you were in the tournament, right? That's how kind of things started out, and then you're in a spot still, despite that shaking out. Patchy Mix goes on and wins. You're still. You're going to fight him next. So it's like you're still in a tournament that's not a tournament, right? You know what's awaiting you after Pitbull potentially here. So, I mean, I just want to know like what your thoughts are just on how great bantamweight is right now and how much fuel that is for you to have such great, every single person you're going to fight is like top tier. And then, of course, what you thought of Patchy going on to do his thing. Just like a lot's happened, man.
A lot has happened. The 35 division is crazy everywhere. Not even just in Bellator. I'm seeing boxers at 35. Man, it's stacked. I'm excited to see the little guys get some love. It's like for a bit we were looked down upon, and now it's like people are wanting to see us fight and want to see us compete. And last year, man, Patchy had a great year. To be honest, man, he went out there and dominated Horiguchi. Put Magomed off to sleep and caught Rafian with a knee, which I don't think anybody expected. I didn't expect. I was watching that, like my mind was blown. Oh my gosh, it was great. Great performance by him. So being at this level I'm in my career, I'm excited to fight all these top tier guys. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here for easy fights. I'm not here to fight lower level fighters. I've worked to get to this position to fight some of the best in the world, to show that I am one of the best in the world.
Yeah, man. It's yeah, every way you look, every direction, there's something crazy awaiting you. And speaking of the little guys too, like we just got the news of the flyweight division, right? So I mean, that's crazy too. That's cool. You love to see the spotlight continuing to spread and all that. And obviously, you were familiar with the flyweight division. So, man, what are your thoughts on that? And like any possibility you'd consider dropping back down to be double champ at some point? Obviously, not too soon, but now you have that option again.
Sure, yeah, I definitely got some objectives to, get past that 135. Some main goals. I got Patricio, if anything, if it comes out successful, I got Patchy Mix next. But yeah, to be a double champ would be cool, man. Not sure how I feel about going back to
Yeah.
25. That was definitely hard weight cut, but I feel with the right people around, I got an amazing nutritionist, Ian Larios, that I know would help me get back down there for sure if I ever, wanted to or if I needed to. So definitely not too far fetched for sure.
Of course, man. Of course. And speaking of other things that have happened in the time since you last fought, Sergio, Big Bro Anthony had a pretty crazy experience there in his boxing match at home against the legend Roy Jones Jr. And he ends up pulling it off, man. Like, this was crazy. I'm sure you were there for it. I was there for it. I didn't see you, but just what were your thoughts, man? And like, just seeing such a thing you never could have imagined. Like, I know it was very crazy for him and like a dream, but seeing your big brother do that kind of thing and get the win, like just the whole thing about it. What were your thoughts on it?
It was crazy. I remember him telling me, I'm fighting Roy Jones Jr. on April Fool's. You're fucking with
Yeah,
me.
I know.
But nah, he was serious, man. He took this fight really serious. He was very motivated for this fight. Roy Jones Jr. is someone we both looked up to for our whole careers, and a man that a lot of people looked up to. Is one of the best. One of the best boxers. I still laugh from Roy Jones. I still wear his shirt, even though after Anthony fought him, I still rep him and stuff, man. But it was a great experience, to see my brother have that drive and that motivation to go out there and box. He's been doing MMA his whole life, so to go out there and outbox Roy Jones Jr. in front of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, epic, epic.
Yeah, crazy stuff, no doubt, man. And would you ever do something like that if the opportunity presented itself?
You know what? I've been boxing a lot lately, so I definitely would like to go out there and try it out. Why not? I'm in a combat sport, and I feel like my hands are really good, actually. So I feel I'd have a good time out there boxing for sure.
Yeah, of course, man. Like I said, so many opportunities for the smaller guys now, specifically these days. So who knows what what the future could hold? But obviously, a lot in front of you right now. But before I let you go, Sergio, I mean, again, it's easy to forget. Like you've had such a great long career because of how early you did start and everything, and it's easy to kind of forget that you did fight Henry Cejudo at one point. And I want to mention this because he recently came back, obviously, and had his fight with Aljamain Sterling at bantamweight because the bantamweight division's insane, so good, and all these things. But like, what did you make of that? Were you surprised to see, you know? I don't know how you felt about the win or the loss because a lot of people will split on it, but just to having fought Henry and seeing him come back and how it played out, were you surprised by that?
Yeah, for sure, man. Henry's a great athlete. I got to go out there, and like you said, I felt him at 24 years old. I was young when I got to compete against Henry, so it was it's cool to see him come back and how big his name's got since we fought. He was kind of very not how he is now. He was a lot
Yeah.
more quiet. He didn't have the he didn't have that clout. Now he's got all that. So it's cool to see, man, that at age 30, I believe he got it. So I feel like, man, I'm 30 years old, and this year you definitely could see me, getting to that level as well. But yeah, definitely. I think he did good when he came back. He did a good job. I had Aljamain Sterling winning, to be honest. I think he did what it took to go out there and deserve that W.
Yeah, definitely a very close one for sure either way, but I can't really complain with that, no doubt. So, all right, Sergio. Well, last thing I will leave you with then, man, is like, as for your fight, obviously huge stuff here with Patricio and whatnot, but like when you envision it, man, of course you want the finish always, but how are you envisioning it going? Obviously, pretty hard guy to put away for the most part. Doesn't lose very much, but how do you have you been envisioning this fight playing out?
I think it's going to be a grind. I'm going to go out there, and I think we're going to fill each other out a little bit. He's going to feel where I'm good, and where I'm going to feel where he's good, and he's going to try to take me into the weaknesses. I feel like he's going to try to take me down, put me against the cage, try to hold me down. I've been watching this film a bit too. Watching him train. I got my buddies over there stalking him, and they're sending me all this training footage. Yeah, I feel like once he feels me getting the better of him on the feet, he's going to go and try to do what Horiguchi did to me, take me down, try to ride me out in that wrestling ride position, and just, hold me down.
Do you think it'll be important for you to maybe try and start fast just to like get back in? And obviously, people talk about ring rust and all that kind of thing, but it seems more of a mental thing. In a lot of cases, we've seen, of course, Dominic Cruz, the big example of debunking that. Even GSP, a lot of the legends, right? But is that something you've thought about in terms of getting the feet wet again? If you want to try and go quick from the start, or how you'll ease into things again?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go out there and feel, man. As of right now, I definitely have a visual of what I want to do, but when you go out there, it's a completely different than what you
Right.
visualize at times. I'm ready for wherever it goes, and um, I'd like to start fast for sure. I'm a slow starter, but I feel like as the rounds, get later on into the rounds is when I get better. I start picking up on these guys' mistakes, and I start getting my range down, and I start getting more confident. So we'll see if it goes into the deep rounds. I'm gonna be ready there. I think I'll do better in the deep rounds, but I'm gonna push for a knockout for sure, or a submission. I want to go out there and show everybody that I have these capabilities of beating some of the best in the world, and not just outpointing them, like out fighting them, out hurting them. And I think this is a good fight for me to do that.
Of course, man. Just got to download the data, right? As they say.
And I'm gonna be out there on my A game for sure.
Awesome, man. Well, absolutely cannot wait for it. You can't beat champ versus champ fights. They're always exciting, but with you guys in particular, it's just a great matchup. And again, all the possibilities that can lead off into it with the Bantamweight division, man, I could not be more excited as a fan. So wishing you all the best, Sergio. I appreciate you taking the time so much, champ. And it's great to have you back. So safe travels and best of luck with everything, man. Going to be fun.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on.